Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the first Fix It with Wally video. What I'm going to talk to us today about is 4x4 deck posts and how you can prevent them from rotting. Now, one thing I've learned after all my years around houses and house building is that things can go bad pretty quick if you're not paying attention. And so what I want to do is start in this channel is give you some ideas of things to keep your eyes on to help you in your preventive maintenance. But this video is about something that's not preventive. It's about how to build it right to begin with. And that way it will prevent the bad things from happening. Now, a lot of decks start rotting at the bottom of the base, okay? You may have seen it on some of the decks at your house, or you may be getting ready to build a deck and you've seen other people do it. I know I've done it myself. I've dug a hole for the deck post. I've stuck the post down in the ground. Typically, I would put a brick or something underneath it, thinking that'll keep it out of the dirt or off the bottom of the dirt where the water will pool, and that should make it last. After all, this is treated wood. We all believe it's going to last forever. Well, at least we used to. The old copper old treatment was better than what we use today. Today, what we use is safer, but it doesn't last as long. But either way, if you put your deck post in the ground incorrectly, you will get rot on the post, and then you're going to have to replace the post, which is no fun at all. When we talk about a deck post failing, I don't want to give the impression that even if you stuck it in the ground with a brick or something on the bottom to keep it off the dirt, that it's going to rot out in a couple of years. Probably not, but maybe 5, 8, 10 years, you're going to see some rot start. And that's typically, you see the black around the bottom. You'll notice at the bottom of the post is getting soft. And that's when you know you have a problem and you're going to have to take measures to correct it. Again, the problem isn't that the lumber rots so quickly. The problem is that water is forming up around the bottom of the post in the bottom of that hole, and that's where the rot starts. Other ways to mount that you may have seen that are easy is to take one of these deck pavers, 12-inch square pavers, or even a smaller one, set it on the ground and set the post on it, thinking, okay, now it's not in contact with the dirt, and that should help prevent the rot. The problem is that the rot is coming not from the dirt so much as the water that sits around the bottom of the post. So whether you've got it in a hole on top of a brick or you've got it sitting on top of a flat paver, either way, the water as it rains will sit around the bottom of the post and will cause the rot. And that's the problem. You know, it rains, it dries. And if you're not paying attention, guys, what happens is one day when it's raining, you'll see it. You'll be outside or whatever. You'll notice that the water's sitting there. When it's in the ground, you won't notice it because that water goes down to the bottom and puddles there until it finishes draining. But if you've got it sitting on a paver, you'll notice the water sitting on it. It might, it might draw attention to itself. And then again, it might not. But even though the wood is treated, that constant exposure to wetness, dryness, the cycles back and forth will eventually cause the rot. So the question is then, what do we do to, one, prevent it, or two, fix it? What we're going to talk about today is prevention, because if we build the deck correctly, we won't have to worry about this problem, at least not for a long time. And that's something important I want to talk to you about, because let's say you're not building the deck yourself. Let's say you're going to pay to have someone build it. In that case, you want to make sure that they're using the right hardware to attach your deck post to the footer. Today, it's code in most places that you have to build in the way I'm going to describe to you. But back in the old days when people were building, back when I was building, when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth, a lot of decks were built with the post in the ground on a brick, hole filled with concrete. And well, let me mention that. That's the other thing. I'm trying to look for something to make an example. Let's say I'm over here digging in my pile. Let's say you didn't just dig a hole and stick it in the ground. Let's say you dug it in the ground, you still put the brick under there, you dug the hole, and then you fill the hole up with concrete. And so you're thinking to yourself, well, that's got to be pretty rot proof, isn't it? Well, based on what I've told you so far, what's the issue? This thing's sitting in the ground and you fill it up with concrete. Well, at the top where the concrete sits, what do you got? You got water that's still sitting at the top of the concrete, sitting on the deck post. The issue is you've got to get the water off the post. If you don't get the water off the post, you're never going to solve the problem. All right, so maybe I should start with why this even matters. Let's say you got a big deck, you've got 8, 10, 12 of these posts in the ground. You're thinking, well, if one rots, what's the big deal? The problem is these posts typically are set at a maximum of about 8 foot apart. If yours are further than 8 foot apart, you may have some issues on top of it. But these are structural. They're not there for looks. They carry the weight of the deck. And once they start to rot at the bottom, your deck will start to become unstable and you'll start to get sinking at the areas where the deck posts are. And it may not even be something that's quite, it's so obvious at first that you see it. As this wood softens around the bottom, that will start to compress from the weight of the deck and people on it. So that's the big problem. Compression from weight, loss of structural integrity, because now your posts aren't sitting on solid ground. When you build a house, you put it on what? You put it on a foundation. The reason for that is the whole house sitting on the foundation. That foundation spreads the load, spreads the weight out. And so you've got the same thing with the deck. These deck posts are carrying the weight of the deck, and that footer that the post is supposed to be sitting on, not in, spreads that across the ground. So what do we need to do to get it right? So we have a couple of things we're going to look at here today. First is using a treated post, of course. If you can afford the better treatment process at one of the big box stores, buy the best you can. It will help in the long run. It'll last longer. The second thing is how it goes in the ground. Now I'm going to put a picture here, I hope. The way a footer for a deck is poured now is the same as a house. You need to check your local building code to see the exact size, but typically about a 16-inch square or even a 24-inch square hole is dug in the ground, filled with concrete, and then comes above the ground anywhere from 10 to 12 inches. So the post will sit way above the dirt. There won't be any water running on the post, but it will be running on the top of that footer. Okay, so the next thing you have to have is the right hardware to set that post on the footer. And I'm going to try to get a close up here. I don't know if it'll do it or not. But if you can see it, there's what you would call a standoff section here. This will sit on top of the concrete. Let me get my famous concrete that looks like a piece of 1x. So let's say this is the top of your concrete. This post will sit here on top and it will be bolted through. I'm going to show you the right bolt to use in a minute. Then the post will sit in this and then get screwed in from the sides to this bracket. So the post is sitting never sitting in the water. It's sitting on this post base. And that post base is sitting a good inch, inch and a half above the concrete. And the way these posts, these are Simpson products. The big box, they may be somebody else's, maybe another knockoff. I think this one is a Simpson though. The bolts that you'll use to attach this to the concrete, these are Simpson also. These particular ones are called retrofit bolts. Let me get them out of the bag here. And this is not an affiliate link. I'm just showing you. I can draw a close-up on this so you can see them. These bolts can be used two different ways. They're made, if you read the package, for use with epoxy. You got a hole you're digging in. It's a retrofit. You drill a hole in concrete, put the bolt in, fill it up with epoxy. It holds the bottom. Then the post will sit on top of it. When you're pouring fresh concrete, what you can do is set this bolt inside the concrete. And I'm not in this video, I'm not going to go into how you line this up, but obviously you have to have this square all the way across with all your posts, okay? And then this bolt, there is a hole in the center of this, so you have some leeway left and right. You won't have any leeway back and forth unless you turn this. So either one way or the other, you're going to have to get this right. So you pour the concrete, you set the bolt in there. You can use some little stick or something, toothpicks to hold it up above the concrete, or just wait till the concrete has set a little, and then you can push it down. So you've got about 1.5 inches left sitting out of it. What will happen is this will sit over top of it. Hopefully you can see it. I'm not sure if you can or not, so I'm going to take it out. So with what's sticking out, you will then place your, these are all galvanized, your galvanized washer on it, and a nut, if you can actually get it on there. The best way to do this is build your form, and you can do it one of two ways, okay? Build your form, pour your concrete. As it's drying, push this into the soft concrete so it'll hold. And you can use the washer as a set. So you only want to have about 1 inch of bolt sticking up, because otherwise it'll come above the ledge here. So you have it in the concrete. Concrete hardens. You come back, you take the bolt off, take the nut off rather. Put the bolt in. Put the bracket on top. Let the concrete set. You can let it set a couple of days if you want, if you have the time. Then put the nut back on and tighten this nut down. That's what holds this bracket in place. Okay. With that in place, you set this in the bracket. You'll nail or screw it in with the appropriate fasteners, because they make a specific fastener for this. And then that post is going to be above the water. It's not going to soak. It's not going to rot anywhere. Eventually, all wood will rot, even this treated stuff. Even cedar, even redwood, all wood will eventually rot if not treated and maintained. But it'll last a lot longer, folks. So, understanding why the wood rots, in particular why your deck post rot, is the most important thing in order to set up to prevent it from happening to begin with. Keep the post out of the water. Use the right hardware to attach the post to the ground, then to your deck, and a lot of your problems will be solved. As we go on with this channel, houses will tell you what's going wrong with them if you know where to look. And Fix It with Wally, hopefully, will help you in that process. Guys, until the next video, thanks a lot.